Could 2009 Phil Heath win the Mr. Olympia title in 2021? Now, if you guys do not know, 2009 Phil Heath at the Mr. Olympia placed all the way down in 5th, but that was mainly due to the fact that there was quite a stacked lineup that year. Ahead of him placed Kai Green, Dexter the Blade Jackson, Branch Warren, and none other than Jay Cutler himself. Many would say that 2009 Jay Cutler is his very best version. So it's not that odd that Phil Heath wound up all the way down in 5th. And at this year's Mr. Olympia, Big Ramy, obviously, he won and he became the 2021 Mr. Olympia. But I will argue that this year's lineup was a bit weaker than the one in 2009. So I wanted to see if 2009 Phil Heath competed at this year's Mr. Olympia. Could he have won the 2021 Mr. Olympia? Well, let's get straight to the comparison, starting off with the front double biceps. And usually I would say that Big Ramy would take this pose, especially when it comes to Phil Heath's more, I guess, older versions. But when it comes to this young Phil Heath, look at those guns. That is just amazing. He has more complete arms than Big Ramy, and he also does not have the worst structure. He has more muscle separation in his legs, even though Ramy has bigger quads. And I would also like to mention that Big Ramy is getting ripped off a bit because of this smoke and all the shenanigans that happened at the 2021 Mr. Olympia. But still, in spite of that, I would say that Phil Heath looks better overall in this pose, so I'd give him this pose. Now, when it comes to the front lat spread, there is no freaking way that Phil Heath wins in the front lat spread against Big Ramy. Or is there, guys? Or is there? Now, Phil Heath absolutely sucks in the front lat spread when it comes to his later versions, but in his younger days, he was actually quite decent in his pose. You can see that he has quite huge lats, and even though he is narrow, he carves out a decent V-taper, and he also has better conditioning and muscle separation, in my opinion, compared to Big Ramy, at least from the front. And there's something that has happened to Big Ramy's lats compared to his young version, I guess. The young Big Ramy absolutely smoked everyone in this pose, but as he got older, I don't know why, maybe you guys have an explanation for that, he's not as dominant as he used to be in the front lat spread, but who are we kidding, guys? It's still Big Ramy versus a narrow Phil Heath, so I still say that Big Ramy gets an edge when it comes to this pose. Now, in a side chest shot, this one is quite difficult because Phil Heath, he has those big striated pecs. He has that huge arm with lots of muscle separation. And downstairs, he is really, really good. But at the same time, Big Ramy is bigger. And Big Ramy also has a better side leg, even though Phil's side leg is absolutely amazing. I would say that when it comes to the cuts that he has in his quads, and when it comes to his hamstring, it's fairly equal, but the quads give him an edge downstairs, and upstairs he's just bigger, but Phil Heath has more muscle separation and better muscle quality. So this one, I don't know, guys. You take your pick. Moving on to the side triceps, and this one is a bit easier to judge. Big Ramy, he just does not have the tricep to match Phil Heath in this pose. Even though he looks great overall, I would say that Phil Heath easily takes his pose. After all, it's called the side triceps. Now, when you turn these dudes to the back, I would say that even in his younger days, he wasn't as good as he was in his later version from the back, but still, Big Ramy, he's literally missing half of his back. His lower lats, they have just melted away for some reason, and even though Big Ramy still looks fairly impressive in his pose because he's that huge and wide and he is fairly shredded downstairs, I would still say that Phil Heath easily takes his pose. He just has a more complete back, thicker, better muscle separation, and even downstairs, they are fairly equal when it comes to the glutes, but when it comes to the hamstring, it is just total domination for Phil Heath in my opinion. And no one cares about this in the IPB today, but he's even winning in the calves. So easily, Philip Heath takes his pose. When it comes to the back lat spread, this one is a bit more difficult to judge. Yes, Phil Heath still has the advantage downstairs, but upstairs, I don't know. Ramy's weakness when it comes to his lower back is not that evident in the back lat spread, and he is just much wider when it comes to his back, and his back is overall bigger. It is not thicker, but I guess bigger is the wrong word to use, but it is a lot wider. So I don't know, maybe a slight edge to Mr. Ramy in this pose, even though Phil Heath has a thicker back with better muscle separation, and his traps are overall better, especially his lower traps. Now moving on to the abs and thigh, and 9 times out of 10 I would say that Big Ramy would get this pose. Again guys, he's getting screwed by the shenanigans that happened at the 2021 Mr. Olympia with the smoke and all that other dumb stuff, but still guys, I don't know, this is hard to say. Big Ramy, he has much bigger quads, but Phil Heath has better cuts in his quads. Big Ramy, he has a better V-taper and structure, but at the same time, amazingly, I feel like Phil Heath at the 2009 Mr. Olympia has a better midsection. So, I don't know, guys. Take your pick again. Take your pick. Finally, we move on to the most muscular, and they are both fairly good in this pose. Big Ramy, again, his strength is his width and his size and muscularity, but Phil Heath, he battles back with better muscle separation, better quality, and more striations, I guess you could say. So, I don't know, guys. Again, take your pick. And food for thought, we also have another version of their most muscular, and I would say that if they hit this version, then Phil Heath would probably win. I don't know, guys, even though Big Ramy is wider and bigger overall, Phil Heath, he just has better quality in his muscle, more separation, striation, shreddedness, and all that other good stuff. So who will win between 2021 Mr. Olympia Big Ramy and 2009 Mr. Olympia Phil Heath? Well, personally, I would prefer 2009 Phil Heath. By the way, look at this amazing shot. Now, this shot probably was taken in the perfect lighting. The 2009 Mr. Olympia lighting was absolutely amazing. But still, guys, it's an amazing shot. But let's be real, guys. Who would the judges pick? Well, in my opinion, most likely the judges would pick 2021 Big Ramy. They are both shredded, and Phil Heath was not that dominant from the back as he was in his later versions. And the same goes for the side and the front for that matter. He just wasn't as dominant as he was in his later years. So I think that even though I prefer the 2009 Phil Heath quite strongly, I think that the judges would give it to the 2021 Mr. Olympia. So I do not think that the 2009 Mr. Olympia Phil Heath could get on the 2021 Mr. Olympia stage and take the title. But then again, guys, who knows? Please give me your opinions in the comment section below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's it for this one, and I will see you beautiful ladies and gentlemen later.